to yours. Welcome to EMS at Sea Level. I am joined by Sanjay Huprikar, who is with the IPC and has recently been promoted to the role of Chief Global Officer. Fascinating title, a very appropriate role. You seem to spend your time globetrotting and taking care of international affairs. Tell me what the new role means, how it's changed from what you're doing, and why choose the title Chief Global Officer?
Well, thanks for having me on, Phil. Pleasure to be here. You rattle off some great questions there. Let me take them one by one. So we are the Global Electronics Association. So I don't think it should come as too much of a shock that a trade association of our size that's supporting the activities of the world would have an office that kind of promotes,
Mm.
the chief global view of the world. We're also serving close to a $3 trillion industry across the globe, and that has all of its opportunities and challenges. And I think that's one reason why we're looking at this role is, fundamentally, we're here to promote growth for the industry.
Mm.
We're here to strengthen the supply chain for the industry. The word global right now in some circles is not a great word. I was trying to be delicate there.
Yeah,
But I think we have a balanced lens. We are looking at things through a regional lens, and we continue to look at
mm.
things through a global lens. We fully support the work that's being done to promote regional manufacturing. You've seen many countries, many regions looking to strengthen their resiliency, and we're supporting that where it makes sense. But I don't think anyone's blind to the fact that at the end of the day, the different regions need the other regions as well.
Mm.
Uh, no one is going to be fully self-reliant. You're going to have to continue to work with other regions. Hence, you're going to be working with the globe
Mm.
to build your products. So I think we look at this as a great opportunity simultaneously to promote regional manufacturing where we can, but also recognizing and amplifying the fact that at the end of the day, it's still a global supply chain. And as a
Yeah,
global trade association, it's our job to serve that global supply chain.
yeah.
The reason for the change now, um, exciting things are happening. And we want to be at the front end of that curve as these things begin to take place.
I think it's really interesting what you say about that globalization and regionalization thing. And I don't think globalization is a dirty word. I think we've embraced globalization. Many of your members are global companies, and they continue to be global companies. And the fact that they, like you as an association, act locally and are able to shorten some of those regional supply chains doesn't make them any less of a global company. So
Correct.
uh, I actually think it's a really appropriate title of it. It's very important to have that balance, much as the pendulum may have swung from a more global to a slightly more regional or slightly even more protectionist in some cases model. It's still a global market for most of the consumer products, and it's important to reflect that in what you do. When you look at what you were doing previously, you were taking care of the European stuff. You're actually taking care of quite a lot of the Asian stuff and the Indian stuff.
Right.
What else has come under your remit as a result of this role in terms of regions?
No, that's a great question. So as you said, coming into this before this announcement was made, I was responsible predominantly for Europe and for India. And
Mm.
if you look at those two, that's a pretty wide geography right there.
Mm.
Uh, Initially, the US and Canada will now be something that I look at, as well as Southeast Asia as well. Um, I suspect that eventually, as we get going here and as we start talking about some of the other changes that are going to be upcoming,
Mm.
that eventually we will have to streamline everything. We'll have all the regions at some point reporting within this office of Chief Global.
Mm.
There are some timing things that we're looking at in Asia. There's some timing things we're looking at in Mexico. So I would say that right now, initially, I've got plenty of work to do with Europe, India, Southeast Asia, US, Canada. Eventually, we'll start talking more about China and Mexico and the Far East as well. Um, And I think for us, this is as I've talked to the team, as John, our CEO, Dr. John Mitchell, has talked about this with our team, this is very much a renewal process for us. This is all about listening and learning.
Mm,
We every association can be better at understanding their industry. We are not omitted from that group. We too can be better at learning and listening and understanding our industry. And I think that's what a big piece of this role is. As you mentioned earlier, there's a lot of our members are multinational companies. They're global companies. They may be headquartered in
mm,
one region, but they have operations all over the place. And as much as we'd like to think that a lot of these are centralized companies, we are finding out that they are not as centralized as we think they are. So
mm,
a lot of decisions on workforce training, workforce development, um, procurement issues, who gets to attend events and not get to attend events. These are all still kind of done on a site by site basis, right?
mm,
So if I have colleagues that are talking to, EMS company X on the other side of the world, and I have a team that's talking to that same company with their operations somewhere in North America, it doesn't make sense that we don't share that information. We should be sharing that information.
mm.
Um, because having all of that information at our fingertips allows us to make better strategic choices about what solutions should we be putting out there? What products should we be thinking about? So a lot of this is better collaborate. We're hoping to find better collaboration, um, build better community, um, learn from the industry so that we can be better at offering solutions that really maximize the benefit for the member. At the end of the day, this is not about IPC. This is about the industry.
Mm.
We are we are an actor in this play. We have a role to play, and we are looking to be better at the role we're playing.
Yeah, Sanjay, it's really fascinating. I always think of IPC as being kind of voice of the members in many cases, and where I interact with it is often in that environment where where I'm talking to Sean as the chief economist, or I'm talking to Dr. John Mitchell as the CEO and talking about workplace training or
Mhm.
talent development and all those issues. To be the voice of anything, you've got to be listening more than you're speaking. So that's really fundamental. And one of the things I've learned as I've worked with you and I've interacted with you, you have this talent and this network of very high level leaders in the industry that seem to be happy to talk to you, happy to dig into their issues and challenges and share them with you. Listening and taking those messages and actually synthesizing them globally must be a really important part of the role. Do you see that as one of the tools that you have for success and one of the really important challenges to actually build upon that?
Yeah, it's both. It's both. You captured it really well. Um, Again, when you position yourself as an organization that's playing a role
Mm,
and you're here to help, we're here to serve, we can say those words, but at the end of the day, your audience has to believe that you are credible when you say those things. And I think we as an organization and me as an individual, I think we've earned that credibility. Uh, when I say we want to learn, we're here to listen to your problems, we want to see if we can figure out how we can make your life better. When you say that and then when you deliver upon that, they trust you more.
mm,
Um, that's basic blocking and tackling as I see it. Um,
mm,
so that's a skill that we have as an organization. It's part of our DNA. It's certainly part of my DNA. Um, and so whatever I can do to utilize that skill set for the benefit of the industry, now that the role is more global in nature, I hope that I'm successful at building those channels and building those bridges with the other parts of the world as well. And then having the team look at that. Because as you pointed out, the goal is to bring all of those voices to become a single voice, talking about their challenges and their issues at a very succinct level so that the right parties, whether it's media, government, even the everyday consumer, can understand that. And that can only happen when you have all those voices kind of shouting off the rooftops as a chorus. And
mm,
you have to earn your seat to get there. Uh, we've put in Europe, as an example, we've put 5 years into that, and we still have a ways to go. But
Mm,
as you've seen with the work we've done, that Allison has done in the EU, the work we're doing that you're going to be part of here in a couple of weeks about the Defense Electronics Summit that we're holding,
mm,
when you see the types of companies that are there that we've invited and that other parties have invited, it's a testament to the industry that they see the value in getting together and talking about these issues.
yeah,
We just lit a little flame was what we did. They're the
yeah,
story. They're the
yeah.
story because they realize that they're a lot stronger when they act together than when they act alone.
Yeah, I see you as a catalyst or as an enabler that does bring those people together. And I
Yeah,
think when you look at leadership in the industry, they when they come together, they do realize that they have very similar problems and they can help each other with experiences. And without someone to be that catalyst, to be that glue, it's very hard for them to create initiatives that do allow, particularly that very high leadership, to get together. You
yeah,
mentioned the work Alison is doing in Europe, and as you say, we're going to be in Brussels together in a couple of weeks. I'm very much looking forward to that. With the changes that have been happening since the Trump administration, it's been a time where actually taking the requirements of different regions, synthesizing them together, and bringing a strategy to play is
yeah,
really important. And Chris Mitchell's team, of Allison, of Richard, have done a really good job of synthesizing that. That's really important to you as the chief global officer, but it's really important to IPC and its members, isn't it?
yeah, yeah. Uh, the industry benefits when government is paying attention to what their needs and challenges are. It's that simple.
Mm,
The work that Rich has done in the U.S., the work that Allison has done in Europe, the work that Chris has done to lead and guide this team of individuals, nothing short of remarkable what they've achieved in 4 or 5 years. Um, Part of their success is not only their own talent and creativity, but this parallel effort that we've talked about earlier in the conversation about bringing that unified voice of
mm,
influential companies and their leaders together. That's the mix that's led to the success we've had so far. And I can be candid with you, Phil, as we are with all of our internal teams. We've only just scratched the surface. There's a heck of a lot of work we still have to do. We haven't won anything yet. Okay. Um, we got the ticket to the dance.
hmm
We've entered the dance hall, but can't talk about anything else beyond that at this point. Still a
Yeah,
lot of work to
yeah,
do. And I think a lot of people in the organization and in the industry sometimes they get too caught up in the event, whether it's a
mm,
workshop, whether it's a meeting. We're calling this a summit here in Europe to use this example. It's the work that comes out of that event that's really important, right? We can go to this event and have all these companies talk and show up and participate. But if nothing else comes from that, at the
yeah,
end of the day, it's who cares, right? The
mm,
goal is to keep the dialogue going, keep the discussion going. And as the dialogue continues, you have to start converging on that golden nugget, on that kernel that's going to make all the
mm,
difference in the world. And I think that's what I keep reminding the team of is a be 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 grateful that we've gotten to this point. A lot of hard work. We're not done with the race yet.
yeah,
And now the race gets tougher. It doesn't get easier, it gets tougher. Because
yeah,
now the stakes are higher. So
yeah,
so it's
yeah.
exciting.
These issues are It is.
Yeah,
Yeah, these issues are never simple. They're complex, and you need a lot of parties to come together
yep,
to create success. And one of the things that IPC has always been very good at, and there are examples across your history of where you brought people together, where you've actually got people to talk about a specific problem, but where you've actually developed committees and programs or whatever to
yep,
resolve that problem and
yep,
brought something to the industry that has been game changing. And I go back to CFX as a great example of that.
yep,
CFX might not have been the thing that changed the fourth industrial revolution, because I don't think the fourth industrial revolution changed too much, but it's a massively important foundation for
yep,
the application of AI in the industry. And I think that's a great example of the success that you have. And I think the role of chief global officer is just part of putting together a really clear infrastructure that allows you to do those things.
Yeah, and I think just building on what you said about the DNA of being the enabler, being the catalyst, putting the right people in the room together to solve problems.
Mm,
Obviously through the work we've done, our brand, our IPC brand is so strong when it comes to standards and to certification and training.
mm,
And that's a product of, putting companies together in a room and kind of talking through what these best practices should be for a PCB or for a PCBA, as an example. Or wire harness is actually the fastest growing standard we have is wire harness and cabling. And that's not a surprise because if you look at the amount of wire harness and cabling that's utilized in aerospace and in electric vehicles, those are two industries that are growing. And so
mm,
people want more certification of that. But the point I'm trying to make in terms of how we can expand that vision, we've created these standards and we've created this training. But part of this notion of strengthening supply chain and building resiliency, I think it comes down to three or four factors. I mean, uh, you know, we want to put the right people together in the room to talk about things like, well, how do you advocate for fair trade? How
mm,
do you promote regional manufacturing, but still keep an eye towards what's going on around the globe? How do you harmonize best practices? We've shown harmonization, in limited capability with standards and certification, but there's so many other best practices across the board. What can we do to harmonize that? Um, what can we do to continue to foster technological innovation that's occurring, right? The work that Matt Kelly's team has done, as an example,
mm.
you know, really hits home as to what our role can be. We've never said to anybody that we are creating the technology. That's not in our purview at all. But by having the right technical people in our organization, they can help leverage that technology to make everyone's lives better. And then lastly, just sharing industry intelligence, whether it's data, whether it's reports, developing those reports. So I think these are the areas you're going to see us,
Mm.
continue to expand in as we look to do more, as we look to become, really this global trade association. And I think part of that responsibility will fall on the global office as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It makes complete sense because as you alluded to, it's a global industry. It needs a global approach that is delivered regionally. That's something that IPC has been very good at, but doubling down on that makes perfect sense. Keep doing what you're doing. That's what I say. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep clarifying the position. Um, I love the way all the different cornerstones of intelligence, of advocacy, of standards, of workforce training interact with each other. I think that's a really important element of what you do. Everything has an impact on everything else. Nothing operates in a silo, and it's
Correct.
really exciting to see all those things and all the
Yeah.
events bring those together and kind of create that connective tissue. So
Yeah, there are
exciting
no islands
times.
in this game. This is all about you hit the magic word. It's about connectivity. It's about getting
Mm.
people organized, excited, and enthusiastic about solving some of these problems. And all we're doing is we're taking the big step and saying we've shown our abilities to do these in certain areas like standards and certification training. Now it's time for us to take the bigger step and talk about bigger issues in procurement, in supply chain, sustainability. We've already tackled that, started tackling that as well. And whatever we can do as an organization to help the industry solve these problems, that's our role.
Yeah, absolutely. That and staying agile, getting ready for the next disruption, the next challenge, and
Yep.
having all the machinery in place to communicate and share and work through all those issues. Thanks so much for your time, Sanjay. Congratulations once again on the new title, and look
Thank you.
forward to seeing you in Brussels in June and chatting very soon. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Phil. Thank you.